What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. The last video is a must-see. If you haven't seen it yet, go check it out. We'll have it linked up in the corner. We got the Passat all stripped down, got the motor out, got the harness out, fuel pump, everything we need to swap into the four-door Tacoma. We got it out of the car. So now we got to get this car out of here. We got to get the motor on a stand, start stripping this thing down. We got to do the balance shaft delete. We got to check the camshaft, timing belt, all that good stuff. So let's hop right into it. The first thing we got to do before we can throw it on the stand is pull off the flex plate there so we can bolt on the engine stand to the block, and then want to get it up on the stand, get this whole harness off. Really all we got to do to get the harness out is pull the bracket for the fuel filter here, because this harness here runs right behind there and it's a tight fit, so we're not gonna be able to pull all the connectors through. So let's unbolt the bracket there, pull the whole harness off. And then, like I said, the timing belt supposedly was done about 1,000 miles ago. There's a sticker right here that says 180,000. The car's at 181,000, so it's got like 1,000 miles on it. I want to take the timing belt off and check the brand of the belt. If it's a good brand, I may just leave the belt and everything in there, not bother replacing it. I do want to pull the valve cover and check the cam condition. I know the symptoms of a bad cam. You kind of hear the thumping noise through the intake. There wasn't any of that. I really think the cam's in pretty good shape, but I want to pull the valve cover off, check that out. I am doing a different turbo, so we're going to be pulling that turbo off. And a couple other things we got to go through on the motor just to make sure it's all good to go. So let's get this thing on the stand and start checking it out. All right, we got the valve cover pulled off. The cam looks to be in very, very good shape. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to show you guys on the camera, but if you look at this lobe here, the edge of the lobe has just a very slight chamfer on it. And when these start wearing, the top of the lobe here, the tip of the lobe, wears that whole chamfer off, and it's a very sharp edge. I have looked at every cam lobe and they all have that chamfer, so that is one good way to tell if your cam is starting to wear out. Every lobe looks good, like I said. All these lifters look good. You can put your finger down here and spin the lifter when the cam's not actually opening that valve. They all spin fine. They all seem nice and tight. There's no cracking or anything weird going on with the lifters. So I think I'm gonna leave the cam for now. And as far as the belt goes, it is a Continental belt. So I'm going to leave that as well. This is a Lightens, I believe. Lightens or Littens tensioner. Both very good brands. That's what I would replace it with anyway. So I'm going to leave the timing belt for now and the camshaft for now. Maybe in the future when I have some extra cash laying around, maybe I'll do a billet cam upgrade. But for now, that's going to work just fine. I'll probably be able to get another 100,000 miles out of that thing running the correct oil. So let's pull the turbo off. I want to pull a couple other things off, probably the AC and the motor mount. I'm not sure what I'm doing with motor mounts. Just looking at this so far, I may have to rebuild the mounts completely. I was kind of hoping to keep these block mounts, so that mount there and that mount there, but I really won't know until I get this thing sitting in the truck with the mounts here. I think I'm going to use the factory BHW mounts. They are a hydraulic mount, one of the best mounts you can actually buy for these things. So I think I'm going to use that, but I need to see if these existing brackets are going to be even remotely close to working in the truck. So let's get started pulling the turbo. Kind of this whole side looks like the valve cover was probably leaking at one point, and there's just oil all over the block, all over this. So I want to get all this cleaned up. As far as AC goes, once we get this, like I said, in the truck, we're going to see if the AC clears. We got to see if the power steering pump clears. But for now, I don't know until we get it in the truck. So let's get the turbo and AC pump and probably pull the vacuum ball too. Just everything off this side. I just want to clean this side up. All right, we got it cleaned up. Looks a lot better. No more oil on it, so we're good to go there. I think I'm gonna do next is start tearing out the balance shaft. I don't have the kit yet, the conversion kit, but I might as well get a start on it. So we'll flip it over. I believe we have to pull the front cover off, so we'll have to strip the timing components off. I should be able to get away with just pulling the fan off and then pull the balancer, pull the front cover, pull the oil pan, and we should have access to remove that whole balance shaft system. All right, we got the oil pan off, so this big pile of crap is what we're gonna remove. Very, very problematic. These things snap, the shafts snap, and I don't know, there's many different issues with these. I know the tensioners can break too and completely wipe your motor out, because this is basically a balance shaft and the oil pump as one unit. So you kind of need that functioning. So what I've done so far is I got it at top dead center. This is actually an ALH lock pin for the camshaft, but it is the same size. I did buy the tool kit, the timing belt tools for the BHW, but I haven't got them yet, so I can't lock the crank, which doesn't really matter. We just really need a rough estimate at top dead center, which it should be dialed in once you get this pin in. So now we got to get the front cover off, so that means we got to pull the timing belt, we got to pull this crank gear off, and then we can pull this front cover. All right, that's what it looks like without the whole balance shaft module on there. So a couple other things we got to do is we got to swap this gear out on the crank. So we have to find some clever way to pull that off. A lot of people pull the main cap and then you can kind of get behind it. And then also the main feed hole for the balance shaft is right here, I believe. We still keep this feed, but if you don't plug this hole here, you'll lose the majority of your oil pressure, because this hole will just be dumping pressure back into the pan. So we got to drill it out, tap it with a 1/8 inch pipe tap, and then the plug comes with the kit. So I gotta wait for the kit to get that in, but we got to find a way to get this gear off. So I'm gonna mess around with that a little bit, see if we can pop that thing off. So if you guys are wondering what that tool is from, so the OG subscribers will know exactly what that's from. When I rebuilt the motor in the red truck, I built that for the same purpose, just to hold the crank and be able to loosen that bolt up. And then once you get the bolt off, you have a lot of leverage on that gear, and you can usually just wiggle it and it comes right off. All right, I got this puller set up on here. So it's just a regular steering wheel puller, and I have a nut on the back side of the gear. On the bottom one, I had to grind the nut down just a little bit to be able to get it to fit behind there, but we'll see if this will work. I'm not sure how tight these are pressed onto the crank, but I feel like with some torque on the puller here and maybe a little bit of heat on the gear, I think we should be able to get it off like this without even pulling that main cap off. There we go. With a little bit of heat that gear came right off. So I've been doing a lot of reading on this. Seems like about everybody trying to pull that gear off ends up snapping it in half. So I'm excited. We got it off in one piece. So now we gotta just wait for the whole kit to show up. We can get the gear on, we can drill and tap that hole, and then we can get the pan back on. I bought one of those hybrid pans, so they are a lot shallower. They're like 2 inches shallower than that pan. So it'll give me a little more clearance over the cross member and everything in the truck. So once all that shows up, we can put this thing back together. Look what showed up, guys. We got the whole balance shaft kit, and then we got all the timing belt tools as well. So one other thing I ordered, like I said, is the oil pan. And this is a 1.8T pickup tube, but with the oil pan that I bought, you have to run the ALH tube. So I got the pan and the pickup tube on the way. So I think we're going to start with getting that hole drilled and tapped. So it's a plug right there that we need to tap into the block to block that one hole. And then we also got the whole bolt kit with the new crank bolt. So I was surprised it came with that. So let's get to work. I think what I'm going to do is just tape off everything around this hole. I don't want any metal shavings in anywhere in this motor. So I'm going to tape it all off around here, block off all this, and then I'm just going to use the vacuum as I tap and drill so I can suck up all the metal shavings. All right, we got this all taped off, but what I didn't realize was if I'm sitting here drilling and gravity takes over, it's going to pull all the shavings down into that oil galley and will probably recirculate through the motor. So what I'm going to do is flip the motor over, that way I can drill from underneath, and any shavings that are left in there I should be able to suck out with a vacuum, and they're not just going to fall into that galley. All right, we got that in, so that's about how deep you can go. I went about as deep as I could go before we ran out of threads. And then I also put just a little bit of RTV on it to help seal it up. Probably not 100% necessary, but I figured it can't hurt. So next thing I want to do is get the crank gear on. That should be pretty easy. Just smack it on with a big socket and it should go on pretty easy. All right, I was doing a test fit on this windage tray and we got to do a little trimming on it. See these tabs that hang off the bottom? Those are placed right where we put that plug. So when we go to put the tray on, you can see there's a big gap right there because those tabs. So we're going to trim those tabs off and then we're going to drill out that hole so it fits nice and snug around that cap or around that plug there, and then that'll actually align the tray and keep that in place. There we go, it fits nice and snug, and this will hold it right in place, right where it should be. All right, we got the crank bolt torqued down. So that is 88 foot-pounds plus a quarter turn. So I torqued it to 88, and then I marked it up top, and then I marked it at a quarter turn, and I cranked it down for a quarter turn. And we also got the lock tool in. So this is a Metal Nerd tool. Very, very good quality. It fits like perfect right into where it locks in. So we're gonna leave that locked in. I think I'm gonna stop here. I'm not gonna worry about getting the timing belt and everything on yet. I wanna wait till I get the oil pan, get that all sealed up, and then flip the motor over so I'm actually looking at the thing right. I really don't like to do this, but I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I don't wanna wait another week to get this video out to you guys, so we're gonna cut it here. Once we get the oil pan in, we'll get back out here, we'll seal up the bottom end, get the timing belt, all that good stuff back on, and I bought a set of PD150 head bolts, so we're gonna be swapping those out. We're gonna do the 1x1 method. So we'll pull one bolt out at a time and do it that way instead of pulling the whole head off, redoing the gasket. You know, I really did think about redoing the head gasket, but this thing didn't have any issues. It ran amazing. So I think I'm just gonna leave it for now. So definitely stay tuned for the next video if you are interested in seeing that. I really hope you guys enjoyed the video. Go smash that thumbs up button, comment, subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.